Hello, First Parish Cambridge UU. I'm Susan Leslie, a member of our congregation, and I serve as the Side with Love Organizing Strategy Team Coalitions and Partnerships Organizer at the UUA. I use she, her pronouns, and I live in Cambridge, land of the Massachusetts tribe. Last week, I was arrested with over 650 people at the Build Back Fossil Free Coalition's People versus Fossil Fuels Week of Action. It was led by the Indigenous Environmental Network. Thousands marched, supported, and witnessed with us. We engaged in civil disobedience at the White House, took an intersection near the Capitol by Congress, sat in at the Bureau of Indian Affairs at the Department of Interior, and at the Army Corps of Engineers, which authorizes pipeline permits. We demonstrated outside the home of the head of that agency as well. We marched to Lafayette Park across from the White House on Indigenous Peoples Day to see "Expect Us" spray painted in bright red on the base of the Andrew Jackson statue there. This was in reference to the chant raised by Indigenous communities fighting the pipelines on their lands. Respect us or expect us. Jackson, you'll know, signed the Indian Removal Act in 1830. Banners were hung and flagpoles were scaled with messages that read, "Consultation is not consent," and also "free, informed, required consent." This is in reference to the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People that requires that states get consent to development on their lands. There were many other banners, including "Faith versus Fossil Fuels," and "We did not vote for fossil fuels." The campaign has two demands: that President Biden declare a climate emergency and use his executive power to stop all new fossil fuel projects and launch a renewable energy revolution. The timing of this action was strategic, with Congress wrangling over the Build Back Better Act and the UN Conference on Climate Change, COP26, set to meet in Glasgow in early November. We know that President Biden heard us. A reporter asked his press secretary about the protests at a White House press conference, where she said that the president is listening to advocates. The Week of Action generated a huge amount of media and social media. Organizers characterized it as just the beginning of this resistance. There were 40 UUs that I know of that took part in the action, including our former minister, Reverend Fred Small, who now serves as policy director for Massachusetts Interfaith Power and Light. We were part of the multi-faith delegation organized by Green Faith. I did outreach on behalf of the UUA to clergy and congregational leaders, primarily in the Northeast, though we had UUs from the Minnesota Line 3 struggle and from as far away as Texas and California. While the police were very rough with Indigenous leaders and put one youth in a chokehold at the BIA Action, our delegation was offered the opportunity to walk away without charges after being led away from the White House. Though we did not, we took the arrest. The difference was stunning and is part of how they aim to divide us. Our solidarity was strong as Indigenous people and allies prayed, chanted, sang, marched, and took action together. The Indigenous leaders were incredible as they led us through this week of action. A UU leader from Connecticut who works for an environmental group told me this was her first direct action and that it had crystallized two things for her. First, she said that while she knows the police treat people differently depending on their privilege, it was stunning to witness and experience. Secondly, she said, "I have been saying that dealing with climate change is so complex, but it isn't. We simply need to respect and follow Indigenous leaders. We need to keep fossil fuels in the ground and create renewable energy." So watch for an upcoming article in UU World, and please go to the People versus Fossil Fuels website and see the campaign demands. They're very concrete and they're very doable. Social change theorists and historians concur that if 3% of a population takes action, we can get change. So we can do this if we generate the political will and demand a fossil-free future. Our faith demands nothing less. As our hymn says, we can change the world with our love.